It looks like the Tyrant from Masters just got the Midas treatment. Here's a look at the Mattel Math Universe, The Revenge of Skeletor, Core Skeletor, Walmart exclusive. This special edition Master Universe action figure of Skeletor, Evil Lord of Destruction, features a head design inspired by Alfred Alcala's legendary sketches, including classic sunken eyes and snarling teeth. Making this figure truly special, bright golden accents are found throughout the design's evil iconography, including bat emblems and bone designs. Designed at 5.5-inch Motu scale, the figure has 14 points of articulation, including arms, legs, torso, and head. He's ready for fierce battle poses. Great. Now you can get your kids into evil early. Before we get a closer look at Core Skeletor, let's take the tape measure and see how tall the figure's going to stand. This, as far as I know, is going to be the first figure of the first one's kids core class of Master Universe figures directed towards kids. I'm not sure really why that has to then mean these figures are a different scale, but we're going to talk about that more in a moment. First things first, again, let's take the tape measure and see how tall the figure's going to stand. Core Skeletor stands, I just realized I rhymed, stands 5 3/4 of an inch in height, or about 14 centimeters tall. Now, this version of Skeletor is a Walmart exclusive. Does that mean, though, humble reviewer, you got this from Walmart? No, I didn't get it at Walmart. It would be normally found at Walmart, but not having those kind of availabilities here at my local stores, I end up actually buying this at a toy show. The prices normally, though, for the Core Skeletor and the figures I'm guessing that are going to follow after him are going to be more about the $9 to $14 price. Now, I didn't pay anywhere near that. I paid more closer to $50 at my show, at a local toy show, just because, again, I couldn't find this guy anywhere in the wild. The thing about this guy, though, is, again, his scale is off. Not so much, though, that he's that much shorter. I mean, if you compare him just with a regular Origin Skeletor, I mean, he's almost just about the same size, but he's a lot leaner of a body. How this translates to a kid-theoried line, I still have no idea. Here's a couple of other Skeletors for you for comparisons. This would be the one based on the 2000X Toy Series line. Here's the cartoon series from Filmation and the cartoon series from the 2000X. Apparently kids nowadays can't also read because there's no mini comic that comes included with Skeletor. What he does have, though, for accessories outside of the cape that he's going to be wearing right now, he does also have a pretty cool looking Havoc staff. Now, I was looking at this and I was trying to pinpoint whereabouts I've seen the Havoc staff from before. This is the Origins Havoc staff. This is the newer one. Completely different ram head altogether. Here's what it looks like with the Filmation Havoc staff. And most recently, here's also what it looks like with the 2000X Havoc staff. My guess, though, is maybe, unless somebody could tell me otherwise, they probably have molded a brand new Havoc staff. It's a shame, though, it has to come in gold and not in purple, because I think that would be ideal for maybe another Skeletor that maybe just doesn't like things in gold. The thing about this Skeletor, though, if you don't like a lot of things in gold, then you're probably not going to be liking this figure. I mean, outside the fact that the scale on him is going to be a little leaner. The figure is actually more so based as a tribute to the original mini comics designed by the art style of Alfredo Alcala. It's also, as well, sort of based on kind of the old Mark Taylor original character B sheets and prototypes. So there's a lot of like hand-picked reference points here. And they sort of took all those ideas and they mushed it together to make this Skeletor. In the end, though, is a successful figure? Well, again, we'll kind of look at the details here. First of all, the figure does have a cape. I like the cape from this side. I don't know, though. I don't know if how much gold is incorporated into this figure, if it really works all that well. The gold accents, I think, are fine for Skeletor. Like, for example, when we looked at the Throne Skeletor that was part of the Masterverse line, it's really one of my favorite Skeletors. And he had a lot of gold. So I can't really say, like, I'm against the idea of gold being on this evil sorcerer. But I always kind of really feel like the cape is adding maybe too much. It's too much. You got to know when to hold him. I think, is that the Song of the Gambler? Because, again, like, he's got so much gold here down below in his shin guards. He got gold down below here in his loincloth skirting. And, of course, he's also got gold there in his crossbones as well. I think I would probably, if anything, 86 the cape, or if anything, because there's so much gold happening anyways, I think this pulls almost too much away from the figure, because you're focusing so much on all the other gold around the figure that I think probably, if anything, I would have made the cape all maybe this color and just done away with the gold altogether. As good as the gold may look, I mean, Goldmember would have loved this. Oh, he loves gold. He probably would have really loved this gold as well. One good thing, though, too, is if you don't really like the cape, you could technically take it off. Just pop the head off for Skeletor, remove the cape, or you can also do this too. You can just fold the top collar piece down, lay it good and flat, just like that. And it gets, I mean, it loses a little bit of the gold. So if, you don't also like really collars on Skeletor, unless somebody was to peek on the back of this, nobody would be any bit the wiser. And you just don't tell them. You just don't tell them. But if you wanted to, just go ahead and take the cape off altogether. We're just going to slide this off. There's a plastic ringlet here, actually, that's going to go around his neck. But we're just going to take the cape off and put it off to the side. Maybe I'll use it for somebody else. I don't know. Maybe Evil Lyn. Evil Lyn really has been lacking a cape as of late. We'll just put the head sculpt back in place. I think more where you get the inspirations here from Alfredo's work is in the head sculpt. I got to say, it's probably one of my favorite things about this Skeletor is the head. The downside, though, to this is if you thought to this, okay, well, even if I don't like the body is just too small for me. I could, if anything, steal the head and maybe give it to another figure instead. Well, so for example, if you want to bring in like an Origins figure, let's pop the head off here for Skeletor. I mean, you probably can already see right away. It's much smaller, though, than a regular Origins. Just pop this off, pop the new head in place. Clearly overlooking the fact that the purple is not going to match at all. I mean, it's just too small of a head for too big of a body. Now, one of the figures I was also kind of thinking, too, oh, maybe this would work really well with the 2000X Skeletor. So I'm going to do the same. Pop the head off, pop the new head in place. You know, if I was to choose another Skeletor body that just happened not to be the core Skeletor, I think this probably would be the closest one I would go with. Granted, yes, the purple doesn't match. Granted, yes, he doesn't have gold anywhere else on the rest of the figure's body, but I think at least, though, I could look to this and think, okay, the head sculpt is a little bit smaller, but it's not where the levels are with the Origins. It's just too out of whack. It's too out of scale. So let's pop that off. I have to make sure I return these Skeletor heads in a second. I don't want these rolling around on the floor like meatballs. So I do like the head. Overall, I think, again, that's one of my favorite things about it. I would love to have seen what this figure could have potentially looked like had they chose not to give him so much gold. Let's say, for example, this was only just in purple, and maybe say, for example, like the face was more in yellow. I think that probably would have been one of the better Skeletors we've gotten. But again, it does sort of then ask the questions, because the articulation on this figure isn't really all that much different than the Origins. What makes this so much a core kid-friendly Motu line over what we were getting with the Origins? I mean, like, sure, yeah, the collectors have scooped up and started to run with the idea of collecting. Let's just get the regular Skeletor head back in place. Collectors, obviously, this line is geared towards more of the older collectors that grew up with the original vintage toys. I get that. But what is wrong with also even saying, too, like, these figures could have also worked really well with kids? I mean, my daughter's not really crazy into Master Universe as much as I have to try to get her to be interested in it. But I mean, like, if your kid loved Master Universe in the first place, let's just say Billy really likes Master Universe. What's just wrong with saying, like, well, this is just a continuation and this is just something that's geared towards kids? I don't know why all of a sudden we have to now introduce a completely different body class. Because as you can clearly see, like, the Skeletor isn't going to work well. Like, if you wanted to have this figure displayed with, like, the other Origins figures or any of the other stuff we've gotten from Mattel and Motu, it just doesn't really work. It doesn't fit in. And now you're going to have to now invest in the idea. Let's just say, like, everybody is now going to want to start getting the core class figures. The problem with that, though, is now, like, you're going to have to get another He-Man. You're going to have to get yourself another Skeletor, Man-at-Arms, Teela. We don't even know what they're going to be doing with the female figures, or it could possibly only really be Skeletor and He-Man. If that's the case, I could maybe even see a figure like Skeletor, sad to say, might just ultimately be a peg warmer. Moving that out of the way, I mean, you could, in theory, also take off the armor, but the problem really with this as well is we already know that the frame of the body is going to be smaller, so like the armor, even though it's mix and match, you really can't really mix it around with other figures anyways, because the armor is going to be smaller. Outside of, though, the face, and again, like the gold on the top, Throne Room Masterverse Skeletor, which I really probably should have brought in for this review, also, again, has very much that kind of same gold idea. Honestly, though, I don't think I hate the figure necessarily. I'm curious as to where the decision-making came, because why would they have chosen to go with a completely different size class? If you wanted to, why? I think they could have also just done a Master Universe Origins kid-friendly line. Maybe keep the bodies the exact same. Maybe, if anything, giving him a little bit more of a friendlier, I don't know, kid face. But again, like, I feel like the bodies probably could have just stayed the same. You didn't have to use a brand new body. For the articulation here for core Skeletor, head's going to rotate everything that we're going to be running through right now for Skeletor is pretty much going to be the exact same as all the other stuff we've gotten from Mattel. So, again, you can check this off yourself. I mean, head's going to be on that ball joint. It allows the head to rotate all the way around, not so much really up and down. Arms move forward and back and out. I mean, still despite having the shoulder flaps on the top, pulling off a 90-degree angle bend, still going to be no problem whatsoever. The figure is, like before, still going to have a swivel in his forearm. There is also going to be a hinge, so the hinge really does also allow the elbow to bend, but the hands also rotate all the way around. Now, I don't want to really fault on this figure. I just don't want to be crapping all over this figure this entire video. If, for example, they wanted to make this towards kids, like young kids, I could see, if anything, they would just have eliminated some of the articulation on him and maybe just given him straight swivels. Okay, right there. So you'd have had swiveled in the waist, swiveled arms, maybe something in the hands, swiveled legs, and that's it. But to do as much as they're doing right now, to give really the same levels of posability, like the figure does have a waist swivel. I think as far as I know, he's got a waist swivel. Maybe that might be the one thing he actually doesn't have. No, so the legs do split. They're, after all, still relying on ball joints. They sure enough move forward and back. There's the swivel still on the top of the thigh. Still a single hinge on the knee. Lower leg rotates. Up and down ankle pivot. Or maybe there's no up and down ankle pivot. Maybe I've left off a few things that I thought were just assuming that they would be there. Maybe, if anything, they don't have waist swivel, and maybe they don't have anything in the ankles at all. But again, I don't know really what this means. What's going to be the lifespan here for the core class Motu figures? Is this going to be a line that anyone, a kid's going to be interested in? Because again, this seems to be what they're kind of gearing it towards, which again is so puzzling to me again, because if this is, in theory, something that's going to be geared towards children, like the first class, the first collectors getting Master Universe figures, why, for example, would then you start the wave, not with a He-Man, but with a Skeletor, and not with just a regular Skeletor, but a Skeletor that's inspired by Alcala's original work and Mark Taylor's original prototypes? Those would all be things I would feel you would throw to collectors as an enticing way to get them to be interested in getting the revenge of Skeletor. I feel like in the end, perhaps this is a figure that's doomed to fail, even though, for me at least, I end up paying way too much. Got this again at the toy show for $50. And I think, again, $50 is way too much for a figure like this. For this, had it been in retail, I think I probably could have said to myself, I'll wait, because the likelihood of something like this going to become a peg warmer is probably going to be quite high. He's not going to be a figure that's going to scale with your other figures. I think even for that matter, too, I would really want to ask younger viewers out there. If you're a younger viewer and you like Master Universe, let's just say, I don't know, you're 10 below, 5 to 10 would be safe to say 5 to 10. A 5 to 10-year-old may not be necessarily as interested in starting a brand new Master Universe line. If anything, they're probably only just going to be playing with or collecting the stuff that their parents are even collecting and buying for themselves. For that reasons, I would really ask the question, what was really wrong with the size class on either side of this Skeletor? Why did we have to create a completely different size class? One that I know is probably not going to get as much faithful following as the ones on either side of it. If in Mattel's minds the idea was making smaller class figures geared towards kids, I don't think it's necessarily a bad idea. I think where the bad idea comes, though, is making the size not much different, really, than the Origins figures that they're already doing now. If they did, as for example, wanted to do a size class for smaller kids, why not, if anything, cut the size class completely, maybe even by half? So you'd have, for example, 3 3/4 inch chunkier looking Masters figures geared towards kids, called the Class Motu figure line, and then have the regular size class figures, the ones that we generally look at, geared towards still the collectors and the younger kids that just like collecting and playing with the stuff that their parents are already collecting now. Why, though, have a size that's just a hair smaller? Because again, you're getting a size that you would look at something like this and think, okay, even if I don't have plans to display this Skeletor on my shelf, at the very least, though, I could probably pirate some of these and pillage some of the parts for some of my other Masters figures. Well, you can't really do that either. None of these parts that I can see, at least, can be swapped out with the Origins figures because those bodies are just way too big. I looked at this Skeletor and I thought, I really like Alcala's work. I would really love to be able to, if anything, put this on an Origins body. Well, as soon as I took it out and I put it next to regular Origins, I knew right away, there's no way at all that Skeletor's head is going to work. They still attach, they still use the same ball joint, but the size class, though, is going to be ever more apparent. What do you guys, though, think of Core Skeletor, the Revenge of Skeletor? Could you see this just being a misstep in what we've gotten so far from Masters? Because again, to do this figure and to make it an homage to some of the Skeletor things that came out before the toy line, like the Oli prototypes, the work from Alfredo, all those things, I feel, if you're going to put them into a toy line, I think you're in one way or both ways, you're going to be alienating the collectors that would have gravitated towards Alcala's work, and you're probably alienating the kids that would be like, hey, I'm fine just to play with my dad's Origins, or dad's or mom for that matter, just buying me Origins figures and I play with those. What do you feel, though, when it comes to the core class Motu line? And do you feel like if they wanted to do something geared towards kids, they shouldn't have made maybe the figure so close in resemblance to what they're already doing right now? By the way, that's a side note, though. I do really wish I would be able to find this one in stores. Spending $50 for him, whether he was, in my eyes at the time, rare, I think I shouldn't have now spent $50 to pick up this Skeletor at the toy show. But what do you guys think of him? Let me know down below in the comment section. Also, too, hey, if you enjoyed this video, do it a solid and throw it a like. If you guys want to stick around for more so? I certainly do hope so. I'm not really sure what we got in the way of Masters coming your way for the rest of this week, but I can certainly tell you this. There's going to be certainly more content coming your way. As always, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.